20 to 25 years has something common to it. And the 66% in the middle also has something common that characterizes it. You know, divorce that takes place among those who have been married for more than 20 or 25 years, unfortunately, the most common cause is that they become bored of each other. He is still energetic and demands action. And she has no time for that. Now her children are keeping her busy. And she goes and spends time and time and time with her children. And he is alone. He is now in his late 40s or 50s. And now he starts, if he does not have a firm commitment in faith and religion, he starts to do the wrong thing. And that's when separation and divorce is taking place. A secondary cause in this category is for people who disagree on that suitor coming for their daughter or the person coming for their son. She wants something, he doesn't want it, she approves, he doesn't approve. They start fighting over it. You go, you are this, you are that, I don't want you. After 20, 25 years. Now, among those who are 4, 5, 6 months, the most common reason is that, and this is what I want to say, unfortunately, say, us Muslims? Yes, it is happening. They've been dating each other for a long time. And they got married. And now the pressures of marriage that was not known to them when they were not inside this institution, all of a sudden shapes up and they start to fight. And because, and look at this, this is a fact. Because he got from her everything he wanted, when they are together, she's no good anymore. They leave each other. Is it happening? Yes, it is. It is happening. Now, the other divorces are taking place because, I mentioned it in one Friday khutbah maybe a year ago, the 6 more common causes of divorce. Even people who are known to be deeply religious are being trapped in practices that are recipes for divorce and separation. There are so many reasons. We will talk about that in detail later on. But do you know that there are people, and I'm not trying to say, please look next to you to find that person, but there are people who pray with us, who fear Allah, who have deep faith, but who think that it is acceptable to vent their days' worth of anger and frustration and physical fatigue on that poor woman, and they get physical. There are people who beat up their wives. There are wives who tolerate that and they don't talk about it because they want their privacy to be kept. But this does not mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing the actions of that person who's coming and standing in the line and saying Allahu Akbar behind the imam and then goes home and beats on his wife. And some are doing it every day. Ya akhi, wallahi, I'm not exaggerating. Wallahi, I'm not exaggerating. It is happening in our community. And if I'm saying it and there are people who are hearing me and they feel that they need to re-examine this practice in their families, please do it quickly, because some even do that while their children are watching. Guess what kind of a lesson you taught your son or daughter? That it is okay, that this is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. And if they don't get physical, they become quite abusive. That if you would hear that person who had just said Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and then shook hands with, and Taqabbalallah, Taqabbalallah, and then goes and uses the kind of language that you would say, Allahu Akbar. There are wives who sent me emails and please, is there something you can do, but don't tell my husband because I will be in big trouble. We don't need to do that. We don't need to put wives in trouble or try to. Islam is it. Islam is that way of life that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad to prevent this from ever happening. Not to make our women vulnerable to this kind of behavior where everything will start to fall down into pieces. So look at this now. A husband and wife, either she is not a Muslim, or sometimes, by the way, there are parents who say, please can you find a way out? He is not a Muslim, but he is prepared to say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, or he said it. What does that mean? So what if he said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah? Because you said that you've got to be a Muslim, you just say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and then all of a sudden he became a Muslim? We are not talking about Usama bin Zayd and that. It's a different circumstance altogether. It's a different circumstance altogether. Here people are saying, is that it? One person came to me, a non-Muslim, who said, they just came and told me, say La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah, so I said it. And I told them, is that all? They said, yes, that's it. And then we will allow you to marry our daughter. This is haram. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. That this is a big responsibility. We've got to realize now these two individuals, okay, now, no, they are the same, they are both Muslims. But, he did not like the girls in Canada, so his mother insisted, no, you can't marry anyone from here. I'm gonna take you back home, where I came from 30 years back. And then I will find you a girl from there. She finds a girl. Then they do the nikah. And then the girl comes after 2 years. And the girl comes and they are strangers to each other. And he expects of her to behave like the women that he sees in the environment he became familiar with. And she cannot do that. Her level of talking, his level of thinking, her level of thinking, her expectation, his expectation, he speaks with a few words in English, she doesn't understand English at all. Two different things, and they start to fight. They start to fight. Now they already are expecting their first child. The child comes, and she, is spending the nights looking after the baby. But he still expects her to look after his needs. No, you can't be tired. It's not allowed. And then, they fight, and the baby grows, and the baby sees, and then they have another child. And then he goes and he spends nights, and then he meets somebody else. He doesn't come home for days. When he comes, she wants him to come. She doesn't want her privacy to be known to her family. Please do something, do this. This is happening. And it's happening all the time. If it's not happening with one of us, we know somebody who is suffering this. And unless we really quickly do something, quickly do something to correct this situation, everything will go wrong. You know why? Because a person who's not happy at home is not going to be productive at work, is not going to climb up the ladder of success. He may be dismissed from work, his boss doesn't like his attitude, he starts to go in different ways that are not, acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and things just explode. Explode. The route to success everywhere is happiness at home. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted marriage to be the seed of happiness to all of us. To all of us. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Among his signs of power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that He created for you from yourselves azwajan, companion spouses, so that you may dwell unto them with peace and tranquility. And He established between you bonds of mawaddah and mercy. Oh, you forgot to translate mawaddah. No, I didn't forget. There is no word in English that describes mawaddah. Mawaddah is not love. Mawaddah is something that, mawaddah is caring, and it's to have a feeling towards a person that will put that person ahead of your own desires and wishes and needs. That's mawaddah. And a loving husband, a loving father is someone who will think of his wife and his children before he will think of himself. He will do everything for them. Everything. They are the center. And, a loving wife is the one who is going to reciprocate by making her husband feel like a king, because he comes and makes her feel like a queen. And the kids are like princes and princesses. This is how we should live at home. This is how we should really exchange affection and love, and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. And if we do not do that, it would be violating the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I gave you 4 or 3 or 6 or 5 because I want you to look after them. Don't violate that trust. Now, I wanted to basically put everything together. But inshallah, starting next week, we will start right at the beginning. Right at the beginning. What are the criteria that we need to look for when we want to choose a husband for our daughter? What do you mean choose a husband? It sounds a little bit strange today, because shouldn't I, that girl says, shouldn't I be the one to make my choice? Islam says that. But a loving family is a family that, without it being declared as, it is my right, I'm the father, I will tell you who to marry. You don't need to say that. Wallah, you don't need to say that. It is not necessary. Because if you've done your job when she was a little girl, and she loves you so dearly, she will run to you and say, Baba, please, I want you to be the one to choose for me. You don't have to fight for it. These are the kinds of things that will fall into place if we prepare for them in due time. A woman was taking lessons from psychologists, giving lessons on parenting and the rules of parenting and the tips on parenting. So after he finished talking, she came to him and she said, when should I start to apply these rules I learned from you on my son? He said,